Welcome to the deep dive. We often talk about inventors who changed the world, but today we're diving into the mind of someone who, well, he almost electrified it. Nikola Tesla.
Absolutely. A figure who straddled genius, vision, and maybe a touch of, shall we say, eccentricity.
Yeah. 112 patents, that's not just innovation, that's a whole symphony of ideas. And what's even more fascinating, we found sources that not only list his mind-blowing inventions, but also suggest he had a rather unusual fascination with ancient structures, the pyramids.
And that's where things get really interesting. We're working with two main sources here. One's titled 10 Incredible Nikola Tesla Inventions to Blow Your Mind. Quite a title. And the other explores his theories about limitless energy and the pyramids of Egypt. So we're going deep into Tesla's world, his inventions, his theories, and yeah, his intriguing connection to those ancient mysteries.
All right, let's kick things off with something straight out of a mad scientist's lab, but actually laid the groundwork for so much we use today, the Tesla coil.
Right, and I think everyone's seen pictures of these spitting out those huge, bright electric arcs. But what was Tesla really up to with those? It wasn't just a visual spectacle. It was a crucial step towards wireless energy transmission.
So how does this thing actually work? It's got these two coils, right? A primary and a secondary, and capacitors.
Exactly. So you have the primary coil hooked up to a power source, and that charges up its capacitor. Then there's the spark gap, that tiny space between the two coils. When the voltage, that electrical pressure, gets high enough, it jumps across that gap.
And that's when we get the lightning show.
Not quite, but that spark does something crucial. It creates a rapidly changing magnetic field, and that's where the second coil comes in. It's tuned to resonate with that field.
Resonance, meaning they vibrate at the same frequency, like tuning forks or something.
Exactly. And when they resonate, energy gets transferred from the primary to the secondary coil, creating that high voltage, high frequency AC current. It's like pushing a swing at just the right moment to make it go higher.
So it's a special kind of transformer, amplifying the voltage.
More than just amplifying, it's transforming the nature of the current itself. And that's the key. This elegant setup wasn't just about making sparks, it was a leap towards a world powered without wires. And it had a huge impact. Think TVs, radios, everything that uses wireless transmission today has roots in those Tesla coil principles.
Wow, so Tesla was thinking way ahead. And speaking of ahead of his time, let's talk about his death ray. This is where things get really intriguing, but also maybe a little controversial.
Right. Telforce is what he called it. Imagine a beam so powerful it could annihilate anything within 200 meters. Tesla believed this could be the ultimate weapon, so destructive it would end all wars. It was the 1930s, remember, and the world was on the brink of another conflict.
So kind of a weapon to ensure peace through fear.
Yeah, a paradoxical idea, but one he was passionate about. There's even a story that his home country, Yugoslavia, pleaded with him to develop it as a defense. But here's the thing. There's no solid proof he ever actually built a fully working version.
Well, I guess a death ray would be a pretty tough thing to hide.
True. And it's important to remember, Tesla wasn't exactly rolling in cash at this point. He even had to sell his Wardenclyffe Tower. And there are rumors that he might have offered a prototype as collateral for unpaid hotel bills.
So did the death ray exist? It's kind of like a tantalizing mystery,
Wow.
but the concept itself, directed energy weapons, that's something we see explored in science fiction and even in military research today.
Absolutely. Think about this Star Wars program or all the research into high-powered lasers. It really makes you wonder if Tesla was onto something truly groundbreaking, but maybe just a little too far ahead of the technology of his time.
All right, moving on from potential planet busters to something that, well, could potentially shake things up quite literally, Tesla's earthquake machine. The name itself is pretty attention-grabbing.
It is. But to be fair to Tesla, his initial research into mechanical oscillations way back in 1896 wasn't about triggering earthquakes. It was actually about exploring a completely different idea, transmitting power through vibrations.
Power through vibrations. How would that even work?
Well, he built this steam-powered oscillator that could create a wide range of frequencies. And his idea was, if you could match the frequency of the oscillator to the resonant frequency of a receiving device, you could potentially transfer energy wirelessly through the ground.
Okay, so it's like the Tesla coil, but instead of electromagnetic waves, it's using mechanical vibrations.
Exactly. Imagine a network of devices all over the world, vibrating in sync with each other, transferring power without any wires. That was the dream. But then there's the famous incident in his New York lab where things got a little out of hand.
Yeah, the one where his neighbors thought an actual earthquake was happening and called the police.
That's the one. Tesla explained it by saying he'd attached a small vibrator to a steel beam in the building. He claimed he could feel the vibrations all the way down the street. Now, whether that's true or a bit of embellishment, who knows? But the story definitely got people talking.
I can imagine. So he was basically experimenting with sending vibrations through the ground, but it had some unintended and rather noisy consequences.
Right. And while his idea of transmitting power this way never really took off, it's important to remember, he also recognized the potential danger of his experiments. He realized that if you could generate powerful enough oscillations and hit the Earth's natural resonant frequency, you could, in theory, trigger an earthquake.
So he knew there were risks involved.
He did. And later in his career, he even explored using smaller versions of his oscillator for things like harvesting energy from vibrations and even earthquake prevention. But the technology, what he called telegeodynamics, never really went beyond the prototype phase.
It sounds like he was constantly pushing the boundaries of what was possible, even if some of his ideas didn't quite pan out in the end.
Absolutely. And even though telegeodynamics might sound a little far-fetched, think about it. He was essentially using sound waves to probe the Earth's interior. It's not that dissimilar from what geologists do today with seismic waves to study earthquakes and the Earth's structure.
Wow, so once again, Tesla thinking way ahead of his time. But now let's talk about something that had a truly undeniable world-changing impact. Alternating current, or AC.
Ah, the War of the Currents. That's a story everyone should know. This wasn't just about science. It was a full-blown battle of ideas with Tesla and Westinghouse on one side pushing AC and Edison on the other, fiercely advocating for DC.
Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, was against AC. That seems counterintuitive.
Well, Edison had built his entire empire on DC, and he was reluctant to see it become obsolete. Plus, he genuinely believed DC was safer. But the thing is, DC was really inefficient for transmitting power over long distances. You'd need power plants every few miles to make it work.
So Tesla and Westinghouse saw the potential of AC for a larger-scale power grid.
Exactly. AC could be stepped up to high voltages for efficient long-distance transmission, then stepped down to safer levels for use in homes and businesses. That's where Tesla's genius really shines. He wasn't just an inventor. He was a visionary who saw how this technology could electrify the entire world.
And wasn't it Tesla's invention, the induction motor, that really sealed the deal for AC?
Absolutely. The induction motor was revolutionary. It was simple, reliable, and efficient. And it worked perfectly with AC. Westinghouse saw this, and he snapped up Tesla's patents. Together, they went on to win the contract to illuminate the Chicago World's Fair, a huge public demonstration of the power and potential of AC.
So AC wasn't just a scientific victory, it was a cultural and economic one. And it literally lit up the world. It's hard to imagine our modern world without it.
Exactly. The ability to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity reliably and efficiently is something we take for granted today. But it was Tesla's vision and his AC system that made it all possible.
And you know, when we talk about vision, it's hard to top this next one. Tesla's thought camera. I mean, this is getting into mind-reading territory.
Right, this one's a little out there, even for Tesla. But, it wouldn't be a deep dive without venturing into the more speculative side of things.
Yeah.
In 1933, Tesla proposed this idea of a device that could capture and record thoughts.
But how? Thoughts aren't physical things, are they?
Well, his theory was that thoughts, or at least the images associated with them, might actually produce a kind of faint reflection on the retina of the eye. So he imagined a device that could somehow illuminate and photograph these retinal images and then project them onto a screen.
So like a movie projector, but for thoughts.
In a way, yeah. He even talked about a future where our thoughts would be like open books. Now, whether this is even remotely possible, who knows? Neuroscience was in its infancy back then.
But even if it's just a thought experiment, it's a fascinating one. It raises all sorts of questions about the nature of consciousness, the relationship between mind and body, and the very limits of what technology might one day be able to achieve.
Exactly. It's a reminder that there's still so much we don't understand about the human mind and its potential. Now, speaking of potential, let's talk about something that, while ultimately unsuccessful, had a huge influence on our modern wireless world: the Tesla Tower, also known as Wardenclyffe Tower.
Right. This was a massive undertaking, not just in terms of the structure itself, but also in terms of Tesla's ambition. He wanted to create a global wireless communication system capable of transmitting messages, pictures, even power across vast distances.
This was early 1900s, remember. Radio was still in its very early stages, and Tesla was already thinking about a world interconnected by wireless technology. He envisioned using the Earth itself as a conductor, sending signals through the ground and the atmosphere.
And he managed to get J.P. Morgan, one of the richest men in the world, to invest in his vision. Talk about a persuasive pitch.
He was quite the salesman when he needed to be. But the project was plagued by problems from the start. Marconi, with his simpler radio technology, was making faster progress, and there were concerns about patent infringements. Plus, transmitting power wirelessly proved to be far more challenging than Tesla initially anticipated.
So, despite Tesla's best efforts and even some last-minute design changes, Wardenclyffe Tower was never completed. It was eventually dismantled, a symbol of both his ambition and his struggles.
It is a somewhat tragic story. But we can't forget the impact this had on our understanding of wireless technology. Many of the principles Tesla explored with Wardenclyffe, like resonant circuits and wave propagation, laid the foundation for modern radio, television, and even wireless power charging.
So even though it failed, it wasn't a complete loss. It was a stepping stone towards the wireless world we live in today. Now, on a completely different note, let's talk about something a little more explosive. Tesla's idea for creating artificial tidal waves.
Right, this one sounds like something out of a science fiction movie. His idea was to use carefully placed and detonated explosives to create massive waves that could cripple enemy fleets.
So weaponizing the power of the ocean.
In a way, yes. He envisioned using what he called telecomatons, basically remote-controlled drones, to deliver the explosives. And his calculations, at least according to him, suggested that the resulting underwater shock waves could generate waves hundreds of feet high, capable of sinking even the largest battleships.
It sounds terrifyingly effective. But what was his motivation? Was he just a mad scientist obsessed with destruction?
No, not at all. In fact, he believed that this weapon, because of its sheer destructive power, would actually act as a deterrent. He argued that if nations knew they could be wiped out by a single attack, they would be less likely to engage in war.
So another example of him trying to use technology to prevent conflict, even if it meant creating something potentially devastating.
Precisely. It's a reminder that the line between innovation and destruction can sometimes be blurry, and that even the most brilliant minds can struggle with the ethical implications of their inventions.
And from the depths of the ocean, let's move to a realm where Tesla made some truly groundbreaking contributions. X-ray imaging. He called his technique shadowgraphs, and it played a key role in the early development of medical imaging.
It's fascinating how this all came about. In 1895, the same year that Röntgen discovered X-rays, Tesla's lab was destroyed by a fire, a huge setback for him. But instead of being discouraged, he was inspired by Röntgen's discovery and immediately began experimenting with X-rays himself.
He was never one to let setbacks get him down for too long.
Exactly. And using the limited equipment available at the time, he managed to produce what's considered the first X-ray image taken in America, a picture of a shoe with a foot inside. He even tried to take a shadowgraph of Mark Twain, but the only thing that showed up was the screw of the camera lens.
Well, I guess even geniuses have their off days. But seriously, his shadowgraph technique, allowing X-rays to pass through the body and create a silhouette on a photographic plate, was a major advancement in medical imaging. It paved the way for the X-ray technology we use today to diagnose and treat a wide range of medical conditions.
It's another example of Tesla's ability to see the potential of a new discovery and apply it in innovative ways. He wasn't just interested in the science. He was interested in the practical applications that could benefit humanity.
All right, let's delve into another of Tesla's inventions that was a bit more esoteric. The magnifying transmitter. Now, this was different from his famous Tesla coil, right?
It was. You could think of it as a supercharged version of the Tesla coil, designed to transmit much higher levels of power wirelessly. Tesla believed this technology could revolutionize the world, providing free energy to everyone.
Free energy. That sounds almost too good to be true.
It does. And sadly, it was. The magnifying transmitter was incredibly complex, and it relied on a number of unproven theories about how energy could be transmitted through the Earth and the atmosphere.
So it was more of a theoretical concept than a practical device.
In a way, yes. Tesla did build prototypes, most notably the massive one in Colorado Springs, which generated sparks hundreds of feet long. But he never managed to make it work as he envisioned.
But it sounds like he was really pushing the boundaries of what was possible with this, exploring ideas that were way ahead of their time.
Absolutely. He was constantly experimenting, trying to understand the fundamental nature of electricity and magnetism, and how they could be harnessed to create a better world.
Now let's shift gears and talk about something a little more grounded, but no less impactful. The invention of the induction motor.
Ah, the workhorse of the modern world. This is one of those inventions that's so ubiquitous we almost forget how revolutionary it was. Before the induction motor, most motors were clunky, inefficient, and required constant maintenance.
So what made Tesla's induction motor so special?
It was incredibly simple and reliable. It had no brushes or commutators, which were the weak points of other motor designs. It basically just used a rotating magnetic field to spin a rotor, and it worked flawlessly with AC power.
So another perfect match between Tesla's inventions and his vision for an AC-powered world.
Exactly. The induction motor was the perfect complement to the AC power system. It was efficient, durable, and could be used for a wide range of applications. And it's still used today in everything from fans and pumps to electric cars and industrial machinery.
It's a true testament to Tesla's ingenuity and his lasting impact on our modern world. And, we've been talking about all these groundbreaking inventions, but there's one more we have to discuss, one that might seem a bit out of place alongside the others: remote control.
It's true, it might not seem as revolutionary as, say, AC power or the induction motor, but think about it. Remote control is everywhere today. We use it for everything from TVs and garage doors to drones and spacecraft. And it all started with Tesla.
Wait, really? Tesla invented remote control?
He did. Back in 1898, he demonstrated a radio-controlled boat at Madison Square Garden. It was a sensation. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. He even had a patent for it, describing how radio waves could be used to control the movement of vehicles and other devices wirelessly.
So this wasn't just some parlor trick. It was a groundbreaking demonstration of a technology that would eventually transform the world.
Exactly. Tesla saw the potential of remote control for everything, from industry and transportation to exploration and even warfare. He believed it could be used to create machines that could perform dangerous tasks, explore hostile environments, and even defend nations without risking human lives.
So once again, he was thinking about the future, about how technology could be used to improve our lives and make the world a safer place.
Precisely. And while the full potential of remote control took decades to be realized, Tesla's early work laid the foundation for everything from the simple TV remote to the sophisticated drones and robots we use today.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, but there's one final aspect of Tesla's life and work we need to explore, one that takes us from the world of cutting-edge technology to the realm of ancient mysteries: his fascination with the Egyptian pyramids.
This is where Tesla's thinking gets really intriguing and maybe a little controversial.
Mm-hmm.
He firmly believed that the pyramids weren't just tombs. They were something far more profound. He saw them as giant energy transmitters, harnessing the Earth's natural power.
Energy transmitters. But how? We're talking about structures built thousands of years ago.
Well, Tesla had this theory that the Earth itself was a giant electrical generator, and that the pyramids were strategically placed to tap into this energy. He believed they acted like giant capacitors, storing and releasing energy wirelessly.
But there's no scientific evidence to support this, is there?
Not in conventional sense. But Tesla was always thinking outside the box. He saw connections that others missed. He even designed his Wardenclyffe Tower based on principles he claimed to have gleaned from studying the pyramids.
So he believed there was a hidden knowledge encoded in those ancient structures, a knowledge that could revolutionize our understanding of energy and technology.
He did. And it's worth noting that Tesla had a deep fascination with numbers, especially 3, 6, and 9. He saw them as fundamental keys to understanding the universe, and he believed these numbers were somehow embedded in the design of the pyramids.
It sounds almost like a mystical belief. But Tesla was a brilliant scientist. Maybe there was something to his insight, something we haven't fully grasped yet.
Perhaps. It's a reminder that even the most brilliant minds can have unorthodox beliefs. And sometimes it's those unconventional ideas that lead to the most groundbreaking discoveries.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Nikola Tesla, we're left with a sense of awe at his genius, his vision, and his unwavering belief in the power of technology to transform the world.
And we're also left with some intriguing questions about his more esoteric ideas, his fascination with the pyramids, and his belief in a hidden knowledge waiting to be rediscovered.
Was he simply a brilliant mind with some unusual beliefs? Or was he onto something truly profound, something that could change our understanding of the universe and our place in it?
That's for you to decide. But one thing's for sure. Nikola Tesla was a force of nature, a man who dared to dream big and push the boundaries of what was possible. And his legacy continues to inspire us today as we strive to create a world where technology serves humanity and helps us unlock the mysteries of the cosmos.
Thanks for joining us on this electrifying journey through the mind of Nikola Tesla. We hope it sparked your curiosity and inspired you to explore the world with the same sense of wonder and possibility.
And remember, sometimes the greatest discoveries are hidden in the most unexpected places, waiting for a curious mind to uncover them.
Until next time, keep diving deep.